the flowering of freedom. There seem to be 3 stages, 3 moments in the dynamic movement in which human freedom blossoms. And let me state at the outset that true freedom can only result from love and from nothing else. Freedom is the fruit of love, and love is the proper flowering of freedom. The first stage is chaos, the state in which many people find themselves, confused by conflicting desires and fears which have not integrated into unity. The second stage is harmonization, bringing order into chaos through its contact with an attunement to greater harmony. The third stage is liberty, the dance of joyful contact with the beautiful freedom of love that God ever lives and which permeates the whole of His creation. Because of original sin, our nature bears within itself a great deal of chaos and discord. We find ourselves fractured in our fears and desires, caught up on the surface of reality, and moved here and there by irrational external stimuli and by our own disoriented emotions, thoughts, and wishes. As St. Paul writes, "I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I do." Romans chapter 7, verse 19. But whenever I encounter love in this place of chaos, or rather the presence of one who loves me, I receive a great gift and an invitation. This love seeks to enfold and cradle me, to protect and shelter me, and in doing so, it also opens the way for me to share myself, to lay my heart naked before the gaze of the lover. And sharing myself in this way allows the touch of sheltering love to immediately begin to bring order into my chaos and harmony into my discord. This is therefore the second stage. Love draws chaos into order and discord into harmony. By touching me in my chaos, it gathers me back together from fragmentation into unity, and awakens and sets free within me my authentic desires, the true desires of my heart. And this can only happen when another person attunes to me in this chaos, loving me tenderly and deeply, precisely in this place. From the heart of their inner harmony, they look out to welcome me, to welcome and to cradle the discord in my own heart. And yet they see beyond the chaos to my true beauty and goodness, to the inner integrity of my desires, however chaotic they may be on the surface. And it is by my contact with the harmonious love of this other that my own discordant heart begins to become harmonious. Yet this is not something imposed upon me from the outside, or a mere task or service that the other performs for me, nor a demand for me to assess myself and to accomplish something through my own efforts. No, rather it is simply a true loving attunement of two hearts, in which lover and beloved encounter in the love of the one who unites them. The one who looks upon me sees deeper than my chaos and discord, making contact with my unique and unrepeatable beauty in the eyes of God, and through this gaze sets my beauty free. They see deeper than the chaos of my fear and touch the deepest and most authentic desires of my heart, my desires for love, identity, and intimacy. And in doing so, they open the way for me to live from the place of these desires, from the place of my heart as God has created it, and as it is ceaselessly held and cherished by Him. It is here that I find order and harmony welling up from deep within me, but awakened by the love of the one who gazes upon me, touches me, and shelters me from the outside. Love draws us from chaos into order, from discord into harmony. For love always creates order, unity, and harmony. Love is inherently an order, but an order for the sake of intimacy and loving relationship. Or rather, love is the order of intimacy and relationship. It is nothing but the harmony of a dance in which two hearts are totally attuned to one another, and through this attunement are able to move in a union and cooperation that simply manifests and deepens their communion. Before one is attuned to this harmony in the heart of the other, when one cannot fully attune to the heart of the other, rules and commandments can play a secondary but often necessary role. They are a part of the pedagogy of love. For if love creates order, then it seeks to reorder our blind and fractured hearts, so that we may make contact with the rich and fruitful space of loving relationship from which we have lost touch, and in this way be enabled to see, to attune, to dance, and to play in harmony once again. But even more deeply than external rules or commandments, the primary thing that brings order to chaos is not something that we ourselves do, even in obedience to another. Rather, it is what another does in us and for us. Just as a little child cannot bring order into his own chaos, since it is more than he can handle, but a mother can easily do so by welcoming and sheltering him in her love, so the same is true with God. The essential thing to do is simply to bring our chaos to God and to let Him shelter and hold us there, cradling us gently within the harmonious order of His own love. The way in which love brings order is similar to the way in which parents help their children to mature. They do not do it by simply imposing rules and obligations, or by mere training of the child, but by true education. This means that they receive and shelter the child totally and unconditionally, even when the child's emotions and desires are in chaos. And precisely in this validation of what the child feels, a space is opened for the child to share himself and to experience himself both loved and understood. And then, in this context, the parents can begin to guide the child in embracing the order of love, bringing meaning and purpose into the chaos. For example, "You are right. It was not nice of your sister to take your toy. I understand how mad this makes you feel, but it is not good or helpful to hit her. What do you think would be a better way of solving the problem?" Gradually, in this place of attunement and the harmonization that it brings, we will come to see. And seeing, order will awaken within our hearts, directing them according to the spontaneous order of love. And this order does not exist for its own sake, but for the sake of love. It is simply the order of love. It is but the space in which love can flourish freely, like the marriage bonds that unite two persons to one another, not to constrain their freedom, but to give them the freedom to love and belong to one another forever. And this order is not a rigid requirement at every moment, a set choice that is totally predetermined in advance and into which I must fit myself. Rather, it is but the flowering space of the exercise of freedom in the romance, the dance, the playfulness of the living space of intimacy between hearts. Thus, the third stage of freedom is the experience of spontaneous childlike liberty, the flowering of confident boldness in the presence of God, and in the living of life within the ordering shelter of His love. It is simply the dance of my heart within the enfolding dance of God's own tenderness and joy, the harmonious song of my spirit within the hymn of the Spirit of eternal love. This is the great gift of the new covenant, and the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, who is love Himself, living within us, and teaching us all things so that we have no need for anyone to teach us. 1 John chapter 2, verse 27. Here there is no fear, but an enraptured gaze on the Beloved and on the relationship between us, His love for me and my love for Him, which is also utterly open in love for each and all of my brothers and sisters. Here the words of St. Paul prove true. All who are led by the Spirit of God are children of God. Romans chapter 8, verse 14. And of St. John, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. 1 John chapter 4, verse 18. Is this really the full flowering of the Christian life and of human life itself, playfulness and the dance of joyful love? Is it not rather the generous giving of oneself in service of others? Is it not the growth toward maturity through persevering efforts at practicing virtue, developing habits and good qualities, and ordering one's life in a way that would be pleasing to God? No, none of these can be the ultimate goal or full flowering of our life, for we have been created for and will find true rest only in intimacy. Only in intimacy. And intimacy is not a means toward something else. It is its own absolute end, and the end of all things. I will find total rest only in the complete mutual self-donation of hearts, in which they are drawn together so closely that they touch, that they embrace, that they come to live in another in a ceaseless dance of spontaneous rejoicing and mutual delight. Whatever else there may be in life finds its place only within this, and for the sake of this. How many people in our world recognize this truth? Too few. How then can I help them to see it? In no better way than by myself living intimacy, in childlike playfulness and the joyful dance of love, and inviting people into this dance, this embrace, by opening my heart to them in their own unique beauty and the depth of their longing. After all, we can truly dance in carefree abandon only when we know ourselves to be seen, known, and loved, and tenderly held within the enfolding love of another.